Ice Spirit and Skeletons, the key component to cycle decks as we know them. How are you expect to cycle Mortars, Expos, Hogs, Graveyard, Miners, and the likes without the two cheapest cards in the game? They're so essential to punish decks, especially control ones that rely on positive trades. These two cards have single-handedly brought to fame the classic Hog 2.6 deck, allowing a Hog Rider to always be in hand whilst not losing out on too many trades. You have to be a whole new level of bad to make a bad trade on a 1 elixir card, although it is possible, so here's an in-depth look to Ice Spirit and Skellies. The Spirit combos super well with Zap, allowing it to make some great trades against the likes of Minion Horde. Everyone's heard about this, but the practicality of it is underrated. When a free Muskets deck invests, they're likely to rely on a Horde on defense. You can't fireball it because you need to deal with a pump and the muskets, so sending a Spirit in with your push allows you to zap the Horde and have them on almost no elixir after spending the pump and the Horde. This can lead to insane damage and put you in a commanding position within the game. The Spirit isn't adverse to taking a hit either. He'll quite happily soak some damage, then freeze a unit, and allow you to surround where you might have messed it up before. This can be invaluable for 1 elixir, especially if you're getting used to using surrounding. Sometimes it's best for him not to take damage though. Instead, suiciding into a swarm can be really effective for you. It's most noticeable against the Skami, but the little guy also does exceptionally well when countering Gang for a
positive elixir trade.
Those aren't the only trades you're limited to though. Ranged units won't one-shot the Spirit and can be countered pretty hard. They'll get frozen and damaged by the tower before attacking, so will lose out to a 1 elixir Spirit. Is countering swarms and a ranged unit not enough? Well, he can also deal with melee units pretty well. He's not as effective as maybe an Ice Golem, but he is half the price after all. The freeze he dishes out will retarget a unit's aggro, so you can use the Spirit to save your more fragile attackers for a counter push, or he could even cause the defending unit's death. The freeze also resets charging attackers, so it's super versatile there too. You can ruin the charge up of a defending Inferno Dragon, however maybe block so isn't 100% reliable, but it has the same effect as a zap for half the cost. Against a Furnace, the Spirit can actually stop 2 waves with just 1 elixir. You must soak the second Fire Spirit of the first wave, then it'll be able to jump onto the second wave. Using some quick maths, we can tell this is worth 1.3 elixir, so it gets you value in the end. One of the coolest plays, actually that is a pretty awful pun, I'll just leave. One of the best plays you can pull off with the Spirit is to defend both lanes, by pulling in one unit but freezing the other. This buys you time and consequently elixir. This will allow you to play more troops if you're in a bit of a pinch. The best part to the Spirit though, undeniably, is that he only costs 1 elixir. Now onto Skeletons, which will probably be changed back to 4 by the time this video is out. This trio of terrifying thick boys can kite almost any unit. Melee units will follow suit as the Skeletons look to provide a decent amount of distraction in the fight. Talking of fighting, Skeletons only cost 1 elixir, which means spells that would usually take them out like Zap or Log will actually get a negative trade on them. This is bad because your opponent doesn't really want to be doing this. However, it's good for you using them on defense. You can just place them onto win conditions and watch them do a really effective job unchallenged. A win condition that they do relatively well against is Graveyard. For a +4 trade, the 3 Skeletons would have already spawned in before the Graveyard comes into play. This allows them to kill off spawning Skeletons and live, providing you with an okay counter considering they only cost you a single drop of elixir. They can also shut down splash attackers, assuming you can surround, which is pretty mad. Skeletons are a swarm that counter splash units, if you place it correctly. Taking up to 3 shots, a lot of splash attackers will sit there bewildered as to how long it's taking them to deal with a few pesky Skeletons. Air units can struggle with Skeletons too, because the Skeletons will just walk away unfazed. Minions and even mega ones can be affected largely by a drop of just 1 elixir. Skeletons are just generally a solid card as they provide a real good cleanup role. If you're having trouble with a Princess at the River, Skellies will be able to take her out and not be counterable by a quick reaction spell unless your opponent wants to lose elixir. Closer attacking range units will have problems against Skeletons too, because that's 3 shots they'll have to take and it only costs you 1 elixir. There are mad trades for this card. Just like Spirit, Skeletons can stop charging units by spending their own lives. Sparky will take a whole 12 seconds to hit a tower if you get a perfect surround on Skeletons, which I can't really do because I suck. Countering a Sparky is a +5 trade. What more could you really ask for? And no one comment at +6 trades, you're really not funny. The best part about Skeletons is that you physically cannot make a negative trade when using them. They counter Ice Spirit, which is an even trade, and then every other card costs more than Skeletons. It's both skillful and skillless, and that's why it's particularly hard to balance. Just as I said at the start of the video, these two cards combo pretty well too. They can counter cards for huge positives, such as mini Peckers, wizards, carts, muskets, e-wizards, executioners, and a load more that I can't really be bothered to list. Such a combo allows you to freeze a unit, stopping it from attacking, and then add on DPS too so that the unit will actually die. You can even freeze a unit and then use Skeletons as a kiting tool once the Spirit has bought you more time to figure out how to kite. The combination allows them to counter units that they couldn't alone, a good example being Bandit. Alone, she would rip through both units, but when they're comboed you get a nice old +1 elixir trade. This combo is a mad counter to Miner, because not many units can take out a Miner for a positive trade. You can use the Spirit to freeze and retarget the Miner, and eventually place the Skeletons on top to provide you with the DPS and distraction to take him out. Even against a supported Miner, you can use the Spirit synergy with Zap to get rid of most of the support, whilst the Skeletons will deal with the Miner pretty quickly. This combo is extremely versatile, and only costs you 2 elixir. Literally the cheapest the synergy can be in this game. Anyways, that brings today's video to a close. What do you boys think about 1 elixir cards generally? Personally, they're such a weird concept to grasp. I used to really want the Skeletons back at 4, but seeing how the meta has changed to use DPS cards that actually cost like real elixir, I'm sort of happy with them at 3. They still provide a decent amount of DPS, and the fact that spells don't murder them for a good trade is a huge plus. As for Ice Spirit, it would be weird to see it get a nerf. It's just a staple and sort of a card that I throw into any and every deck because it's probably one of the most versatile cards out there. I wanted to make a video on these cards separately, but I guess they fit into one and the same in some regards. To end off, our comment of the day goes to Captain Crunch, who says that I'm a hypocrite for calling Ice Golem and Tornado both the most OP cards with the release of my newest video. I think that the Ice Golem was stronger, however it saw a nerf and now isn't anywhere near as popular as it was before. It still does a lot of things that I put into that video, but some interactions will fail now because it dies that bit quicker. The most OP card right now is probably Miner, but that's a whole other video. Anyway boys, I hope you enjoyed this one, and peace.